Yo, check this out. This is Chuck D. And keep it locked. You are tuned into The Library. The Lies Are Buried with TIm Einenkel. Right here, right now, rapstation.com.
According to his bio, Jahi's task is twofold. One is to take select songs from Public Enemy's catalog and cover them or revisit them. Two is to create new songs over new production and classic Public Enemy Palm Squad tracks to bring new consciousness, culture, and spirit to the hip-hop world. Jahi is a member of the P.E 2.0 project, which dropped its first project last year, People Get Ready, and is set to release their latest album first week of January called Inspired. It will feature guest appearance from the likes of KRS-One, production from the legendary Easy Mo B, and brilliant social commentary. Jahi joins me on The Library with TIm Einenkel on rapstation.com. Jahi, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, good morning, man. Glad to finally make it, man. Glad we hooked up.
It's great to have you. So first off, if you could just kind of break down what's the mission of the new album, Inspired, and then who do you hope it reaches?
Well, Inspired, man, the second record from P.E 2.0, man, is, social commentary over boom bap. That's the best way I could describe it. It's a celebration of hip-hop culture. It's in the line of, my job as a preservationist, making sure that hip-hop culture is preserved and lives. The goal of it, again, is also continue the cultural legacy of Public Enemy. That's the real main reason behind P.E 2.0, because Public Enemy as a group, 28 years in, the first, out of the four groups that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that represent hip-hop, Public Enemy is the only group that's still making records. And P.E 2.0 is to continue that cultural legacy. And my goal, I think any artist, when you put out music, your goal is to try to touch the entire world. But I'm clear that, people who are 40 and up all over the world who grew up through the golden age of hip-hop still has a affinity and connection to hip-hop, but want something that's more mature and still fly at the same time. Those are the people that I'm looking to reach this time with Inspired.
For you, is there a kind of a balancing act, I guess, so to say, where obviously I think obviously you want to reach not just, as you mentioned, the people that grew up listening to like Public Enemy and the golden era, but also, I mean, you work with youth, so like even reaching youth. Is there a balancing act there that's really tough to do, or do you find that both their ears are very similar in terms of what they want to hear?
Well, I kind of take a cue from Chuck in some ways that, young people, they do want to check in with their uncle every now and then, their older uncle who has something to say, right. The big cousin, the big brother that, got some wisdom. They're probably not going to check out, like, everything that they have to say, but he'll get their ear enough to be able to drop some jewels that they'll, appreciate now and later. So that's the way I look at it with young people. I'm not making young people's music, but if young people are in tune and interested to hear something that is more cerebral than celebrity, more thinking man's music, more so than, keeping us conditioned to just clubs, then yeah, it'll be good for young people as well too. I mean, I work with young people all the time, but I also realize that, the last thing you want to do is try to play a young man's game when you're not 20, don't act 25 if you're not 25. And I think young people are benefiting. The young people that I work around are benefiting from realizing that they can listen to whatever's hot right now, but also still check out a P.E 2.0 and get some knowledge, and also, get a sense of the multifacetedness of hip-hop culture.
Yeah, on the album Inspired, you talk about Bambaataa and his importance and influence on you. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit, and also what's his influence for those who don't understand, or for if let's say you're teaching a class, right? In a few sentences, if someone asked you what's the importance of Bambaataa, how would you sum it up in regards to the culture?
Some people know the history and significance of Africa Bambaataa, the high-level concepts of peace, love, unity, and having fun, solidifying the four elements, bringing people together, establishing hip-hop as a world culture, I mean, Africa Bambaataa went to Africa in 1982. You know, in the song Bambaataa, I say 82 a world tour. Now we all world renowned. Africa Bambaataa is our godfather. He is, you know, he's a pillar in terms of hip hop. So I wanted to, you know, I want to salute my leaders and my heroes while they're alive. So that's why I did the Bambaataa song, and then it also just brings it, you know, it also just explains, if you want to know what hip-hop doesn't have is what reggae has. Reggae has subgenres. So I know roots reggae music is different from lovers rock, and lovers rock is different from slack music. You know, they have these distinctions. But in hip-hop, sometimes we just use that one term, and, you know, some people wonder where you are. So I did return to that Bambaataa. So you know what lane it is. But, you know, when you hear somebody saying return to that Bambaataa, you know that there's a certain cultural connection to it. So that record meant a lot to me, and I know Bam has had a chance to hear it, so that's even, you know, even more special, you know, to know that he knows that. And you know, I'm a music message maker, man. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm. In the track Black Love, you say they want to see us fighting. In this reference, who are they, and how do you convince a person that love is more important than fighting?
Well, you know, Black Love Matters, man. You know, Black Lives Matter, and I'm completely down to support of that movement. But I think it's not enough that we've been alive, but have we been loving each other? You know, and I really wanted to put a twist on Black Lives Matter, to put it in Black Love. And when I say they, you know, they could be, you know, society, you know, at large, that would much rather see us continuing to kill and fight each other as opposed to stop fighting each other and really organize ourselves. You know, that could be, you know, white inferiority, you know, who would much rather see us arguing as opposed to, I think I say much rather see us arguing, breaking up over pettiness instead of steadiness. See it all the time, and I'm sure God witnesses. Some people in our own communities, you know, have a culture of dysfunction, of fighting and disunity, and sometimes we're comfortable in that space as opposed to being able to grow out of that and really love each other. So, you know, they is any force that is trying to stop the powerful unity of Black love.
On the album Inspired, you cover Public Enemy's Louder Than a Bomb. Why did you decide to cover that track for this album? And then how is it relevant for what's going on today?
Well, you know, in that song he says, I'm even lethal when I'm unarmed because I'm louder than a bomb. And, I mean, when you look at the amount of brutality that has happened by some rogue cops as it relates to unarmed black men, black youth in particular, I thought it was fitting to cover that song. The other thing is that, you know, a lot of people don't know, but Jam Master Jay produced that record. Mm-hmm. That's the Jam Master Jay mix. And, you know, again, as a preservationist, as Chuck would say, as a culturalist, you know, it was an opportunity for me to cover something out of Public Enemy's catalog and also salute and lift up, you know, Run DMC, Jam Master Jay. They had my attention before Public Enemy. So it was just really a tribute to JMJ. And then also, you know, just with all of the issues about privacy and who's checking your IP address and who can get access to your phone records, and the fact that, you know, our voices are still being, you know, there is a challenge of us being marginalized and not being able to really speak our truth to power. You know, Louder Than a Bomb to me just felt fitting because, you know, yeah, you know, the microphone is you know, in some respects, you know, that's my weapon. You know, being louder than a bomb is saying that, you know, our voices still matter. We still going to speak our truth loud, and you're not going to silence this lane of what hip hop is. How do
you talked about, you know, you're being a preservationist, and, you know, you've covered obviously Public Enemy tracks, and with Louder Than the Bomb, it's your way of giving also tribute to Jam Master Jay. But how do you, I guess, as an artist, how do you ensure that you are being true to these artists and, you know, other artists like Public Enemy, and paying respect while giving the fans or the listener an understanding of who you are as a person and as an artist?
Yeah, well, I think the cultural legacy and significance of Public Enemy is solidified even in the most recent NWA biopic. Once again, you see Public Enemy at a crucial moment in Ice Cube's trajectory. The way that I give respect to Public Enemy is, number one, try to cover their records well. Really make it authentic. Because on the one hand, it is Public Enemy's voice that I'm covering, but doing it in an authentic way, I think, shows respect to them. And then I think as you listen to Inspired, and continue to, I realize in some aspects being in P.E 2.0 is almost like I'm a new artist again, which is funny because I got a 20-year career.
Right.
But I think it's also, as you listen to the record, beats and rhymes, you really get a chance. That's me.
Right.
You really get a chance to hear my authentic voice. And then as you hear the whole cohesive project, you hear the connectedness, and in some respects, see why Chuck could have selected a lot of different people for P.E 2.0, and I'm humbled and honored that he selected me. And I think it's because that I have a voice. There is a particular level of lyricism that I'm already about, that I was influenced by Public Enemy, KRS-One, Rakim, and many others. Yeah, I think in that you know what? I think, to say it this way, Public Enemy is my voice. It was Public Enemy that set a cultural consciousness. So yeah, you're gonna hear part of who I am as an authentic MC is really because of the shoulders of people like Public Enemy, KRS-One, Rakim in particular.
As you mentioned, you've been doing this for over 20 years. During your writing process, and I guess from like start to finish, and when it's when I guess I'll say the first draft of the song is completed, do you have a group of people that are kind of like act as your sounding board?
Well, there's always a protocol and systems of people I trust that get a chance to put ears on it, and are not yes people. It's not like they're gonna say everything that I do is dope. And I think that's important. You have to have people around you who can really give you a ear, and not just because they love you or respect what you do, but really understand, how to push you as an artist. So, and Chuck as well, and the camp of Public Enemy as well. So, there's a lot of refinement. I think I know when the record is done, when I'm able to sequence the songs. I mean, I normally do about 20, 25 songs to pull out 10. And I think once the sequence is set, once I go back to my original notes of what I wanted to cover, what was the presentation, what was the goal, then you got to just trust the process. One of the things that Chuck has taught me is that, you might not get it all in the first record, you might not get it all in the second record, but at a certain point in time, you got to let it go and work it out on the next record. So I never feel like I gotta be like, this perfect dismount each time, but I feel like every time it needs to be better than the last record. Inspired is better than People Get Ready. And again, I just have people around me that I trust, and that, there's a lot of records I loved that I thought was going to be on Inspired, and people was like, nah, bro. and that's where, you have your ego in the right place, where that, people want you to put out the best product as possible.
What happens to the records that don't make the cut? Do you just like trash them, or do
I keep them?
I keep
them. I keep them. Some songs may end up on a soundtrack somewhere. Some songs may get licensed in a different form and not even be a song. Some of them I completely scrap. Some of them I actually go back and like, man, okay, those 4 bars, man, I really like what I said there, so I'm gonna bank those 4 bars for another record. So, but it's in my hip hop ecosystem, everything gets reused and recycled. It's like a compost. It's like a compost.
One of the records I really like, I like on Inspired is Roll Call, where you shout out the artist you appreciate, and you've touched on a little bit through this interview. But what is your criteria for actually liking an artist, and how was going A through Z? Was that a difficult process in terms of like figuring out who exactly will make the cut in the Roll Call track?
Yeah, because of course there's always so many people I could have said, right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
just to try to go through A through Z, and the reason why I wanted to do roll call was, again, it's just, man, we got to lift up our musicians, man. The great musicians that we have, and we've been been able to receive their music and their creative genius. So I just wanted to do that, and yeah, I missed a lot of people off of that cut. If I could go back, that's probably the one song which I'm not rapping, but I probably could go back and do 10 times. I can go over and do it again, and probably either add more names or make sure I hit all the alphabets. I think there's a few letters I may not have touched, but yeah, Roll Call was a fun record just to be able to, you know, it's almost like in the spirit of, I was thinking about Do the Right Thing with Samuel Jackson as the radio host. And, and just thinking that mid-record just to shout people out as opposed to just doing a regular interlude. I thought, you know, the other thing is, you know, I think you touched on it. I work with young people, so anytime I can make a list of names and have young people be like, well, who is that? I never heard of that person, and drive them to learn who, give you a quick story. I went to one of my school sites working with 8th grade middle school in Oakland, California. I go into the classroom. There's a young king sitting at his desk. He got three parts and a high top fade. And I said, man, I need to show you a picture of Big Daddy Kane. He said, who is Big Daddy Kane? And I just had to laugh because he got the same high top fade with the 3 parts like Big Daddy Kane. And when I showed him a picture of Big Daddy Kane, it's like I showed him himself for the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so to say Big Daddy Kane's name and somebody be like, wow, who is that? And to be able to show somebody and say, look, not only this is the person I was talking about, but he got the hairstyle that you got right now I love doing that. So 3 things happen. Number 1, it's like, okay, who's Big Daddy Kane? So that means, number 2, the second thing will happen is that he'll find 1, 2 songs that he'll take in and have an opinion about. And 3, he understands the cultural connection to hip-hop and how it goes beyond music. And it does go into your style, like how you cut your hair. You know, that is just not just based on music, that hip-hop is a culture. And that's exciting when you see an 8th grader do that, because if nothing else, their understanding of hip-hop is broadened and it's not limited by what they are just taking in right now.
Does your work with youth, does that make you feel, I guess, accountable in terms of the lyrics that you spit out or write in your music more, or do you just feel do you feel accountable because you are working with youth?
Well, you know, before working with youth, I made a decision in 1998, 1999, when I wanted to get in hip-hop, what lane I was going to represent. And that lane is primarily profanity-free, socially conscious hip-hop music. That was a clear decision that I made. And unlike a lot of people who've been, like, swerving and driving erratically, I stayed in my lane. And that lane, without somebody telling me, oh, if you work with youth, that because you got clean lyrics, that might be helpful. I didn't really initially have that thought. I just had to make a decision of what lane I wanted to represent in hip-hop, because there was a lot of things going on when I decided to turn an MC professionally in 1998, 1999. The fact that I do work with young people and the fact that they know that I can spit at a very high level, but I don't curse, I don't use the N-word, I'm not disrespecting women, and that they can still respect that, to me, matters. But whether or not young people, you know, I was working with young people or not, it didn't, you know, I had already informed myself on what style of hip-hop and how I was going to present myself, because I'm from the school that hip-hop said you had to be original. So everybody's already cussing. Everybody's already disrespecting women. Everybody's already talking about guns, jewels, cars, how dope they are. I mean, those things are already happening. So the last thing I wanted to do was get in the game and be an imitator. And I think it's a courageous act to be able to do inspire this 35 minutes and 10 songs, and there's no curse words. I mean, you know, look at Rakim's discography. Rakim, you hear him maybe say 1 or 2 curse words. He wasn't like, oh, I'm just like, that was just his high level of lyricism.
Right. A
lot of Run DMC, you know, I can still play that for kids today because, you know, there were certain things that wasn't in the music. So for me, it was just, making that decision and knowing that it will benefit those who listen to it. So,
as mentioned, Inspired comes out the first week of January, and I know it's early and this could totally change once the album drops, but for you right now, what track on the album kind of best represents the mission of the album?
I would just say right now, the two songs that continue to wake me up is the title cut, Inspired, because again, that's over a classic Public Enemy track, and that kind of set the whole spirit of the album. I really like how it starts. It just feels to me like a classic Public Enemy record, the way it comes in. So that and Beats and Rhymes right now, man. Real Beats and Real Rhymes is also, but I also look at it as a movie. It's almost like you could watch a movie in parts, and you can skip around chapters and still probably get the gist of it. But if you watch the movie from beginning to end, you really get the full thing. And I feel like what I think I was saying this to someone else, that Inspired is a complete sentence, and that's what I feel the most good about, is that the entire record feels like a complete sentence about a dialogue that we'll be talking about. I mean, if I didn't do a record for 5 years, there will be songs and commentary in these records that we can talk about up 5 years from now and more. And that's when I feel like I've hit my stride, when I can create records that I think are not going to just live now in space. So
what's the best way for fans and listeners to kind of follow not just what you're doing, but what P.E 2.0 is doing, and to, of course, get the album when it comes out?
Oh, absolutely. 2-0pe.com, where people can find me online. Follow me on Twitter, Jahi as P.E 2.0. Yeah, and then, just stay in tune with publicenemy.com for all updates about everything that we do, because, it's truth. We move as a team. We don't move alone. P.E 2.0 is not some standalone, it's like it's a part of a branch on an iconic tree that's Public Enemy. So just stay tuned.
He's Jahi. He's a member of the P.E 2.0 project. Their newest album will drop the first week in January. It's called Inspired. Jahi, thank you so much for joining me on the Library with TIm Einenkel on rapstation.com.
Hey, I appreciate it, Tim, man. Keep rocking. And you don't stop.
Yeah. DJ Pain 1. Tell me, how long will it take before another black man is the president of the United States? And why would he wanna be 41 million strong but still not fully free quoted? We voted 2 times. Rika Boy, Freddie Gray, Tamir, Eric, names can't be ignored. With all of our advances and successes, still more of the lessons. The prominent question is, what are we gonna do now? Where's our land, our source of water? Just survivors getting harder. Smart enough, start it up. Operation Get Our Own. This is not a game. Treat a mic like a megaphone, a mega blast. Like a serve from Serena. Black power, my demeanor in Adidas in your speakers. 16 years and counting, check the discography. Embrace the sonic boom and bass, student of philosophy. Quality over quantity, so get it while the grill is hot. The spirit of pop. Call Rider Vision what I got. And those say that we ever coming back, cause we always been here, getting stronger every year. Still fear of a black planet, heard it in Billboard. Domestic terrorism, baddest killings abroad. I still choose the pen over the gun and the sword. Let it all out when they hit record. It's about survival.